Happy Independence Day to everyone in the USA. For this drawing, it really has nothing to do with this holiday, but it's still a special picture for me. This month was a little busy and I just finished the Veterans Day picture, so I wasn't really into doing another similar illustration. Instead, I thought back to an older piece. I also recently did a redraw of one of my art pieces, but this one is going to be a little different. When I graduated, I got my first digital drawing tablet. Up to this point, I've only seen videos of digital art and seeing those vibrant colors, the many different brush styles, and being able to undo. It seems so fun, and now I have a drawing tablet to do that. My first drawing wasn't the greatest, and I've actually redrew that several times to see my progress. However, for this video, I'm going to talk about this picture, one of my first digital art pieces and my very first attempt of cel shading. I made this for my dad so he can make little stickers of it for his job. There's a lot of representation in this drawing that I'm not going to go through. Just know that there's stickers of it, and my dad also made t-shirts with the design. So I see this picture a lot. And it's not terrible. When I finished this picture, I was impressed. Not only was this the first time I drew with cel shading, this was the first time I drew animals digitally. And it's the first time I did a background. I think the last time I did a background was in my third year of high school, where I used pastels to try to draw a mountain. So a lot went into this picture. I'm not redrawing this because it looks bad. I'm doing it to find out how far I've come from first getting into digital to now having a channel, and the many hours of drawing experience I now have. I picked up techniques on how to do better in digital art, and it turns out I love doing backgrounds in digital art, and I thought this was a great picture to show off how much I've learned. Unlike the other redraw video I did, for this particular drawing, I wanted to explain what I changed and why I changed it. Not only does this help me see where I started, where I am now, and where I'm going, it shows you the same process that I'm going through. I also hope that it might help beginner or intermediate artists that may be watching a few things that they can look out for or improve on in their own artwork. So let's get into the critique section of this video. There are a few things I want to fix up on this piece. The first thing I want to fix is the way each character looks. When I first did this drawing, I actually traced a good portion of this picture. The good portion being the pegacorn's, alicorn's body, the construction worker's cloak, and the area they're all standing on. Now, the reason why our worker here is wearing a cloak was because he was once a wizard. You could definitely see that there are some fabric pieces that don't make sense with the rest of the cloak due to me just tracing. So I'm going to fix that, and the other thing I'm going to fix is just the overall look of this character. The poor man is balding and he's a little too modernly dressed, which looks kind of odd with a cloak, at least in my opinion. The animals are fantastical, the glowing orb of rainbows is fantastical, the background is pretty unrealistic, so I'm going to change the clothing and change his face and proportions a little bit. In the original picture, the pegacorn was just a unicorn, so I had to draw in the wings, which we can see I had no idea what I was even looking at. So what I'm going to do is, first, the way I draw now is more sharp, so I'm going to draw the horse in a sharper and sleeker way. The second thing I'm going to fix is those wings. They look like a mess, but that was the best I could do then. For the griffin, there wasn't much change other than the tail. Like the pegacorn, I just drew it in my preferred style and called it good. I still traced some of each character from the first drawing to keep the composition the same. Other than that, I changed a lot about them. The next thing I want to fix was the line art. At this time, practically all of my art pieces had line art, and in this particular piece, it is very thin, sketchy, and messy. I still do more sketchy line art. I actually do it in the redraw. I definitely have more confidence in drawing the lines. A lot of the lines are longer, smoother, more on purpose. I also make the lines thicker to show more line weight. What I really wanted to change about the line art is the color, because I like the line art to be darker than the rest of the character and cut down on the amount of lines I need to draw. Look at this. This is not necessary. The next thing I want to fix is the background. Number 1, no line art. I have come to like the style of having the characters have line art, but the background is only color and value. So that's what I'm going to do for this drawing. The other thing is I'm changing the foreground because I still want to see the griffin's lovely tail, but this doesn't look right. And it's because this is supposed to be part of the wall surrounding the trio, which means we shouldn't be able to see the tail. It should be behind the wall. So I replaced the wall with a simple rock object, so now we can see the lovely tail and it doesn't look wrong. The final thing I want to address is the color. The base colors really look muted, minus the yellow, which looks out of place when next to them. And we can see in the first picture it's supposed to be storming out, and it is nighttime. At least it was supposed to be when I drew this. However, the characters look like they're standing in the sun. The shadows aren't intense enough, everything looks like it has its own light source, and it looks so choppy. So what I'm going to do to fix this is define the light source, and that's going to be the orb of rainbows and the lightning. And since it's nighttime, I will make everything more blue. Regardless of the base color, the shadows will be more purple or blue. The background is going to be completely blue to show it is night in that area, and it helps the characters stand out more because they are the only ones with warm colors. What's really going to make the characters belong in the scene are the dark, big shadows, and in some areas I add a second darker shadow to really show that they are in this scene. Other than the lightning, those are the things I really wanted to fix in this redraw, and the final product is more what I wanted this picture to look like. I like dramatic lighting and cool illustrations, and I wasn't able to really do that at the time. I'm really happy with this redraw, but there's still things that can be improved on. The composition could be better, the cell shading and line art could be smoother, and if I ever decide to redraw this in the future, maybe I could try more dynamic poses for the characters, which already gives me a great idea. What do you guys think? Would you want to see me redo this in a different composition, more dynamic positions, and different lighting? And would you like me to use cell shading or soft shading? Let me know in the comments, I'd like to know. like it. I like it a lot. The square that surrounds it looks really cool. If I were to redraw this, I think I'd make the flag go out on the other side of the square, along with the pentacorn's wing and some of the cloak. To me, the composition looks a little left heavy, so I tried to fix that next time. Other than the few minor things, I think it's really solid illustration. I like the colors, the way the characters look, and the orb of rainbows. The griffin is definitely my favorite, and that's it. Thank you for watching. Happy Valentine's Day, and I'll see you later.